Morning. Hey everyone. I'd like to talk about this Presta Pointy, Schrader, stinky, sloppy, just don't work thing. For those who are new to mountain biking, there are two different types of valves. And, let me get down here with you guys. Oh yeah, okay. There are two different kinds of valves. And the big problem is, people have problems with the pump types that they buy, especially mini pumps or CO2 injectors or floor pumps. And I thought I'd do a quick explanation. So let me grab this camera. Okay, so let's do this the old-fashioned way. On the fat bikes, they came with what's called a Schrader valve. See that? It looks like your car. Okay. On my Go Selector 6.9 and typical modern day mountain bikes, you get this Presta. So notice it's long and pointy, and you're gonna ask me, what is this thing, right? Well, this is an adapter valve that I keep on here, and I'll explain why. Very important that you understand why. Now, this is gonna be a low down video because I'm down here now and I just don't feel like getting up. Take a quick look again. Here's a Presta valve. Okay, this is a tubeless valve that you would normally use to in a tubeless setup, and the idea behind it is that normally they come locked in place like this, and this is what keeps the air in. And what you do is this wee tiny little thing here, you unscrew it and the air pressure pushes it out, and then when you push that in like that, let me turn it upside down, you see how it's like that? When you push that in, it lets air out, and that's how the pump works. The pumps push this down and open up the valve so you can let air in, right? Anyway, so these are just spare tubeless valves that I have. So when we decide to convert a bike from tube to tubeless, that's how it works. Now, I have a fat bike spare tube here, and as you can see, when I take this off, look at that. It's Presta. Right? If you remember that Presta Pointy, PP, Shrader Something else, SS. So, our fat bikes came with Schrader valves, and at some point when those tubes in there give out, I don't think I'm going to convert to tubeless, I'm just going to go to one of these. This is a spare. Now, that said, you have this myriad, if you look down here, of mini pumps that you typically ride with. CO2 injectors that go all the way back from like the 90s to 2000s. The difference is this one uses a smaller CO2 cartridge when you had 26-inch tires, and the idea was that you didn't need that much air, right? I've actually blown a 26 tube trying to fill it with one of these. This one is threaded, so it doesn't quite work with this one here. I don't even know if I have any more threaded CO2 cartridges. This is the one I ride with because I'm riding 29s. I need a bigger CO2 cartridge. They come in 16 gram, 20 gram, I think I've seen 24 gram, I'm not sure. I got these from MEC, so if you're in Canada, MEC or your local bike shop, this one screws in, right? These threads, it just screws in. And the idea is that you can, with this one, you can control the amount that you inject by pushing this trigger. Okay, I keep mine together so when I need I just have to quick tighten and it's in. But know this, once they're punctured, they slowly leak. So don't use it and expect it to be good a couple of weeks later. This is the one that Dawn carries. Now hers is the same idea. It's a trigger type system, but her CO2 fits down in here, quickly loaded. Stays together. She has a spare. Now these are these small 16 or 12 gram, I can't remember. But these buggers are small. So when she carries 2 in case she gets a flat. Okay. On a fat bike, you probably need like 10 of these. So mini pumps. So you got 2 kinds of mini pumps. This is just an older one from the 90s again. It's a single stroke, which means that it only pumps in one direction. There were, what does this say actually on the bottom? It's so old. Beto, B-E-T-O, made in Taiwan. I don't know if you can see that. But these, we carried these for a long time. I've got a Crank Brothers mini pump that I ride with as well, just as backup. Now this is a single action pump as well, only pumps on the in-stroke. There are some that are double action, but you know, if you don't use it, and there's no point in paying extra premium for this, right? Now here's the trick. This is removable, okay? And I'm gonna grab my big hot knife here. So this little rubber piece on the inside, which is really easy to lose, just need to get this out. It can be a little bit of a trick sometimes. There you go, out it comes. Now there it is, okay? And that fits in here, okay? Now what's really important is, see this little piece that's on the inside? You can't lose this either. When you're filling a P for Presta valve, P pointy, the small side has to stick out, and on the valve, this little plastic adapter, this round piece has to go in first. Now why, you ask? Well, let me show you. On this valve, when these two are together like this, right, and you notice one side is bigger than the other, one side is bigger than the other, which means that you can make the mistake of putting this small one in here, but it won't work. You can't put this big one in here because it won't fit, right? So we're doing it big plastic into the big hole. When you unscrew your valve, the idea is it goes in here, okay, and as it comes up, it makes contact with the top, okay, and that's what pushes the bottom piece in. Separately, on the Schrader valve, when you turn this around like this, so the big end lets the Schrader valve fit in, this is the piece that touches that little nipple. Let me show you what this little nipple I'm talking about. See this little nipple right there? This thing is what goes in here and presses on that, right? See it? And that's what lets the air out. So when you put these together, that's what's important, right? So if I'm going to fill a Presta valve, I take my pump apart, I put this big fat round end in the big fat hole, I put it back into my pump. Now this is the other important part that a lot of people don't catch. Put it all the way in, screw this down, and most pumps have a locking latch. Most of them lock up, okay? So when you gotta put some air in there, out in the field, out in a ride, you unscrew this so it's out, stick this all the way in until it makes contact, and when you pull this up, what that little thing, that little rubber piece on the inside does is it closes down around the valve and holds it, right? So as you're busy, you hear it, you can actually feel the air coming through the valve, right? That's how you know it's working. Okay. Next, let's talk about all these different pumps and this Topeak D2 gauge. Look, it even has a little diagram so you can check the pressure on the different types of valves. Alright, so let's talk about some of these pumps, floor pumps. Well, let's talk about this D2, Topeak D2 pressure gauge. So the idea is that I ride with one of these. It's very light. Before every ride, every other ride, I always check my tire pressure. The idea is that you turn it on, you can change whether you want PSI or Pascals or whatever you have, bars, whatever you use. I think it's PSI and bar. Pascal is air pressure, whatever, like atmospheric. So that's units. You can tune it with this little valve, or you press and hold to turn it off. It actually turns off by itself, and I use PSI. Now see those two little symbols on the front? Pointy, P pointy Presta, and S, that big fat one, is for the Schrader, right? So if you want to check your tire pressure and you've got your valve, what you do is you simply undo the top and you make sure this is on this side, push it on, and it locks in place, right? There's a little rubber insert in there. As you push down, it closes around and gives you your tire pressure, because you'll beep. Well, obviously there's going to be none because I don't have any pressure other than atmospheric. What next thing is, oh, you know what, let's continue. Let's continue on with these. This is an MEC floor pump. It has a gauge on the top that lets you see what pressure is. You can set it where you want, but the problem is I find this thing moves around, so it's kind of useless. And it has a double-ended tip. That's important. It even has diagrams that show you what they're for, right? And the idea is that Presta, small, and Schrader. And if you look in there, you can actually see that little pointy tip I was describing in the mini pump. And this one locks in the up position. And it's really funny. Can't really see it here, but if you look closely at this, as I close it, you can actually see the rubber housing on the inside close down to lock in the Presta valve. So this is my preferred pump. By keeping the handy all the time because it gives me pretty accurate readings and it's easier to use. This is an old Bell pump that I got back again long time ago. Some dinosaur was moving out and I decided to take it from him. So again, if you look at this one's set up a Schrader. Big with the little valve, little point tip on the inside, right? I can remove this because it would be too much trouble. Anyway, so that's set up for Schrader, so I can use this right away on the fat bikes, right? Now to be cautious, this little adapter that I carry around is just in case, so it adapts a Presta to a Schrader. And the idea behind that is if you ever run into, you have a serious issue, you run out of CO2, you forget to replenish. A lot of people, when they, funny enough, buy these pumps, they come set up for Schrader valves, and I don't know why that is, but that's just the way they are. And what this does is, instead of dicking around with the pump while you're on the field, out in the field, you slip this on to whichever Presta valve's giving you trouble, and Schrader pump to go. If you pull up to a gas station, a lot easier to hook up on a gas station pump to one of these, right? So these things, again, at MEC, this is a brass one from, again, back in the day of the 90s when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. And we had 26-inch tires and real knobs that could ride anywhere we wanted. These are brass and probably cost you about $6. Now if you go to MEC, etc. online, you can get the aluminum ones that probably cost about $1.99. If you go to a bike shop, and I'm very sorry bike shop, but they want $10, so it's like going to a convenience store, right? Anyway, this is what I use as an emergency stop. I got these on my bikes and they work. So if you have any questions, any comments, you want to know anything, want any assistance, comments section, and I read all my comments and I usually try to give everybody an answer. So hope that was helpful. Just you collect stuff over time and you realize that there's some people out there that have no idea. I hope this was helpful. As always, stress less, ride more, ride smart, ride safe. See you guys on the trails.